Hey everybody, it's Nick and Judge Brian, and we're back from our second race of the year at High Plains Raceway, which, as you know, is like an hour and a half east of Denver, out in the middle of nowhere.
Where am I?
The area is known for dirt, bison, but it's home to one of the most meticulously and passionately managed tracks in all of the Lemons schedule. All of the big name brand tracks could really take a lesson from HPR track manager Glenn Conser.
I'm in charge of safety here at the racetrack.
At this race, we of course had Judge Brian and we had Judge Bob Griffin, and as seasoned vets, these guys really know how to stir the pot. Now, as is often the case, some of the classing decisions made by the judges on day one weren't super popular with some of the real racery racers in the field, but as a wise man once said, if you're gonna be as wrong as fast as you can.
I was wrong.
Although we came malicious and ready, the group stayed well behaved and gave us a smooth race weekend. As a result, we had some teams taking the bullying and shaming into their own hands by bringing their own penalties. Three-hole golfers brought their own penalty box driving range and opened the paddock for anyone to use it, but they were pretty much there the whole time hitting golf balls at the other car. There was a French penalty box. Team Savage Orchid had a full-time team of up to 3 harassers at all times, giving us a Monty Python Holy Grail French taunting to any team. Team still deciding their name in the red foal car was awarded the good old Bob Ross penalty, being tasked to paint Denver International Airport's Lucifer in full acrylic. It was but terrible. And then somebody brought a 3D printed recreation of the racetrack to be built as a penalty, and then using little race cars provided, show us how they screwed up and got black flagged in the first place. We forget who gave that to us, but thanks a lot. Great penalty.
Going back to the classing controversy, Frictionless Racing had a 2006 Pontiac Solstice, which is probably, to be fair, well solidly into the $500 my ass category. It's got a Cadillac V8 swap, and when it went through BS, the judges looked at this contraption and they either got convinced or they convinced themselves, you know what, this thing looks fast, but it ain't gonna make it till the end. So they classed the Pontiac with 0 penalty laps, which resulted in some whining, which for the record is against the rules. Look it up. And sure enough, on Sunday, we went over and checked in with the Solstice team.
Ironically enough, caused a little fire again, so we DNF.
Ark Blast was back at HPR with their electrified Datsun 620. After losing all of their original data in an unfortunate mishap, the team dedicated a lot of this season to logging the new data again, ensuring the truck was running at peak performance. This thing is fast. The guys have damn near mastered a hot swap battery exchange in about 4 minutes and a full pit in around 8. What's the result? This team set the Lemons EV distance record at the previous HPR race, which was a 24, and they beat that record this race with 10 fewer hours.
As always, Lemons people dealt with adversity very gracefully. We had Team Kenny's and their BMW E46. They blew up on Saturday.
Oh my God! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
They had the car back on track on Sunday, set one of the fastest lap times of the weekend after the swap. Dog Bite Racing blew out one of their spark plugs and quickly cobbled together an on-the-fly plug cert kit to keep it hitting on all 8. And then we had a palm tree themed Nissan 350Z, Team Tree Fitty, and they had a little bit of a fire. Now, the rest of the team saw this fire happening and they're true homies, so they grabbed fire extinguishers. The only problem was they were running from like 500 yards away. But long before they got there, HPR's safety team had taken care of it. Everybody was fine.
This makes us all realize the kind of pressure these drivers are under.
So high fives and handshakes to our buddies at Passat Wind. As a senior school project, the family came together and decided to build a 2001 Volkswagen Passat. Nobody could give us a clear, good reason for choosing a Passat, but we settled on aerodynamics?
Yeah.
Well, they pumped out an honorable 40 laps before the head gasket failure led to catastrophic overheating. They chased down a few friends in the paddock who would help walk them through the procedure to replace the head gasket, but both parts and the tooling needed would put them on the injured reserves for the rest of the race. Valiant effort.
Here you've got Team 420, so slow. They got off to a rather leisurely start, and they got off to a rather leisurely finish because their axles exploded, their shift linkage exploded, stuff was falling out of the bottom of the car. They fixed it mostly and got back on track mostly. Well done.
Hot off the presses, your 2024 HPR winners: Orange Crushed in the 1991 Miata taking Class A, Petrosexual Racing in the 2004 Chrysler Crossfire cruising through Class B, and Broken Spokes Racing running away with Class C in their 1992 Honda Accord. The highlight here is the Crossfire, because it is a bad licensed Mercedes SLK copy made by Chrysler. What a dumb car. But you know what?
Not if it works.
They dragged it out of a field, put tires and a roll cage in it, and sent it.
One thing about that Crossfire, no theme. Fortunately for them, other HPR teams picked up the slack. We had the 3-hole golfers, as we mentioned. They had a great car and costume and penalty. We had Hangar 13, their Chevy Vega with a Spaceballs or Lemon Balls theme. And we had the Pirates Band of Mischiefs with Pirates. Now, all of these teams were battling for the coveted HMG Halloween Meets Gasoline $1,000 for the best costumes prize. But at the end of the weekend, they all fell to the mighty French.
Sacre bleu.
Team Savage Orchid are no strangers to the Halloween Meets Gasoline award. They've won twice before. They were on the hunt for the HMG at the last race in June when they showed up decked to the nines in a Pokemon theme, but finished second.
If you ain't first, you're last.
So for this race, Savage Orchid went with the French theme, and surprisingly, they weren't the only team to do this. There was another team doing a Tour de France bit. But Savage Orchid was in their theme from the moment they showed up to the moment they packed up to leave. They get the HMG for this. As we mentioned before, they had team members in the penalty box talking trash to drivers that got penalties. The best trash talker, by the way, was their 12-year-old. They also had pole vaulting with spare baguettes in their pants. They brought baguette sandwiches for the potluck, hopefully not the same ones. And they had this amazing performance of Les Mis. All of that added up to this team's 3rd HMG award, and they made it into the Is This Controversial Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Right, and some of the themes went a lighter route, like our very own rookie squad, the SpongeBobs, who trekked from Colorado Springs to debut Lemon's very first geo-tracker. For their first race, they walked away with the organizer's choice, and the full range of emotions.
My emotions! My emotions!
Day one's testing went great. Everybody got seat time, with the wind blowing through their helmets. They kept cool enough to avoid black flags. Day 2 went okay. A few hiccups, but the team charged through the repairs in true Lemons fashion to finish the day strong-ish. And Day 3 ended with old Uncle Rodney a-knockin'. The team was in good spirits and vowed to get it back in action for next season's shenanigans.
About a year ago, the Lemons community lost longtime racer and friend Johan Samanta, and HPR was one of his home tracks. And so at this race, his former team brought his old Malort-themed Toyota Corolla race car and opened it up to friends of Johan to drive. As a tribute to all of those friends, the team renamed itself with elements of many teams. They were called the Nine Finger Drifters, featuring Driving Without Intent and Salty Thunder, in collaboration with Speed Holes, Blue Flag, Hangar 13, Down and Out, and of course, Sword Dick Racing. That was their team name. Over 20 different Lemons racers hopped into the Corolla to do a stint during the weekend. A lot of them dressed up and partied as Johan throughout the event. And Team Salty Thunder decided we need to award a team that best embodies the spirit of Johan.
3-hole golfers won the Johan Trophy. They also won the Judges' Choice Awards. They showed up to their very first race with the whole family in tow, mom, aunts, kids, ready to rip. They executed an old-timey golf theme complete with a penalty box driving range. It was essentially a golf-themed golf. Not a golf-themed golf, a golf-themed golf. With a caddy girl walking around reminding the paddock to kindly be quiet. The energy was non-stop, and they ended up making a lasting impression on everyone, including our dear judges.
We had a couple of special awards. One of them was provided by Savage Orchid Racing. Going with their French theme, it was the Stepped on Your Own Baguette Award, which goes to the team that was the cause of their own downfall. Now, there was no doubt who won this. It was the Gun Barrel Cobras in their V8 swapped Volvo. They were at the pick and pull getting parts for it. They saw a supercharger. They said, yeah, let's put that on too. It's got custom wired Arduino paddle shifters for the automatic. It's just the crazy contraption. Now, amazingly enough, it was leading Class C until they stepped on their baguette.
The other special award, the 2 engines, 1 cup, went to another crop of familiar faces, the folks at Team Ark Flash, not to be confused with Ark Blast, with the electric Datsun truck. Ark Flash, you may remember, has an absolutely insane anglerfish Ford Focus from HPR 24 Hours a few months back, and let me tell you, there's been further developments. It turns out when you're a team of electrical engineers, the most logical way to get double the horsepower is to double the engines?
What?
That's right, they somehow figured out how to sort out 2 of the same 4-cylinder motors by jamming one in the hatch and installing some kind of demonic shift cable setup to effectively operate and shift the motors simultaneously. Startup procedure involves a few junction boxes mounted to the center dash, one of which now starts the roof-mounted fan whose sole purpose is noxious gas ejection from the rear motor compartment. The punchline of the whole joke? They ran a solid weekend with an impressive overall 122 laps. This feat of masochistic engineering is typically reserved for the I Got Screwed award, so to you we tip our hats.
Heroic fix went to Dad Bod Car Mod, and they're famous for taking Toyotas that work fine and then swapping the motors and having them not work fine. At this race, they had 2 of them.
Oh yeah, you know we have 2 of them.
MR2 and a Yaris, both with 2 ZZ swaps.
No shit.
Now, the Yaris was the source of most of the problems. First, it seized a brake caliper and was stuck out on track. They stuck it on the flatbed. And for the first time, according to Glenn at HPR, a car caught fire on his flatbed. That has never happened before. Congrats to Dad Bod for that.
How on fire were you?
Only a little on fire.
I'm on fire!
They replaced the brakes and got it back on track until they blew up the clutch.
And it's gone.
By the end of Saturday, the team had the car pretty much entirely disassembled. They did a little bit of Googling. They figured out, oh yeah, we're using the stock Yaris clutch with the 2ZZ swap.
No shit.
They got the right part. They got it back on track on Sunday. That was very heroic. Everything was made even better by their functional slot car model of HPR that they brought to the party. Well done.
For the record, the Yaris worked worse than 2 Focuses crammed together. Which brings us to I Got Screwed. I don't think we've ever been so bummed out passing out the I Got Screwed award. Team All Suck came from New Mexico with their rad 1977 Celica for another bloody round at High Plains. The Hotcam 22RE was running strong on testing day until their first overheat. They swapped the motor out in an hour and a half with a spare motor from the back of their van. The team decided to source 2 head gaskets while running the second motor. Serendipitous because that motor would then overheat and cook their second head gasket of the weekend. They swapped 2 head gaskets and decided to slap the hot cam motor back in. With a deformed radiator and a handful of dreams, they stepped out onto the track and immediately blew their 3rd head gasket when the alternator bracket sheared off and destroyed the accessory belt, stopping the water pump. We were rooting for you guys to pull a rabbit out of your hat, but
this will have to do.
The 3rd and final special award at this event was the Maximum Effort Award, and it goes to the team that finally looks around and says, you know what? This is a lot of effort. Our buddies at Green Beret Racing might wind up having this award named after their team because they have this 68 Plymouth Roadrunner that's got a body from a satellite, some junkyard parts, some dirt track parts. It's got a functional ammo box as an intake. That's hella sweet. But while we love old American muscle, just seems like this is not maybe the best match for a Lemons race. This is the second race that I've seen them where they're constantly 45 minutes away from being ready to go back out on track. They completed 33 laps by the end of this event, but they kept trying. They had a great attitude the whole time. They were celebrating their failures. They were celebrating their successes. That's the kind of vibe we like. They get the maximum effort award.
And finally, for the coveted Index of Affluency, we're happy to award it to the Ace veterans at Hangar 13 Racing for their 1972 Chevrolet Vega. This race was happening at the same time as another Lemons race at Pacific Raceways, where another Vega also won IOE.
Double Vega dominance.
These cars are dumpster fires, yet across 2 races in the same weekend, they completed a total of 263 laps at HPR and 268 laps at Pacific Raceways. Insane levels of consistency for absolutely no reason, with 2 completely different power plants, mind you. These teams are in no way affiliated with each other. That's just how good the Chevrolet Vega really is. This team came with a great Spaceballs theme that they made into a full Lemon Balls reboot. They even changed all of the character names to car themes, like the Great and Powerful Yogurt became Yugo.
I am the great, powerful Hugo.
We were treated to multiple skits, and the team even made sure to give us a tidy combing of the pit lane at the end of each day.
We ain't found shit.
They raced in conjunction with an Eagle 5 Volvo 240, and the whole squad came committed to the motif. Our favorite lemon-flavored magic happens when the teams can balance on that thin edge of racing their butts off and having a unique and committed theme. For Mr. and Mrs. Salami, they seem to have mastered the art. High Plains is a special place. The track and its culture are rich with family spirit, and we're more than happy to close the Midwest season in such a special place. And now, Lemons in a nutshell.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?